Good morning, everyone. I'm James Sakahara with Express Connect Supply, formerly Wire Express. Thank you for attending this morning's webinar presented by our friends at Corning. I'm excited to learn more about how Corning fiber is being used to transform industrial networks. And I want to thank Gayla Arundel and our friends at Corning for presenting this morning. With that, Gayla, please take it away.
Okay, thank you very much. So today we'll talk a little bit about, what are the trends we're seeing for Industry 4.0 on wire fiber. And then I'm going to spend some time going through some of our solutions for fiber, both cable connectivity and hardware, and then talk to you about some sort of new innovative solutions in the pre-terminated connectivity as well as fiber to the edge for long reach applications. So Industry 4.0, or what is being termed the fourth industrial revolution, is driving the need for more connectivity and more cloud and edge computing power. AI and machine learning with predictive analytics are at a very early stage of adoption in manufacturing. However, significant growth is expected, and this is one of the primary markets that are being targeted for some of the large AI and cloud suppliers out there that we're all hearing about. Industrial Ethernet is emerging as the standard, and with more bandwidth and easy scalability, as well as with the simplification of networking. Cybersecurity is becoming a much more critical issue as these IT and OT operational technology type of networks converge. Miniaturization and robotics is driving for smaller industrial grade network components designed to fit into smaller spaces. And last but not least, 5G and Wi-Fi connectivity is critical as more industrial IoT devices are connected via these wireless technologies. So we see fiber as an integral enabler of this fourth industrial revolution. Industrial facilities can optimize their operations and reduce expenses while ensuring that their infrastructure remains safe and secure by basing their communication networks on the ultra-reliable, high-speed fiber optic cabling. Corning optical communications fiber innovations have revolutionized how the world communicates and connects. Since 1970, when 3 Corning scientists achieved a breakthrough by creating the first low-loss optical fiber for telecommunications, and over the next 5 decades, Corning optical fiber innovations have revolutionized the way the world communicates and connects. Today, fiber goes faster and farther than anyone ever dreamed of. Made of pure optical glass the diameter of a human hair, Corning's single-mode fiber is resistant to electromagnetic interference, moisture, and temperatures. The properties of the glass used in fiber have been changed at the molecular level, making fiber as strong as steel and secure over longer distances. This results in a highly reliable network offering virtually unlimited bandwidth and requiring much lower maintenance. So a little bit more in terms of how we see the different verticals within this industrial revolution. I'm adding in here transportation because many of the transportation facilities resemble sort of a harsh environment or an industrial environment. So we're seeing a lot of more investment in roads and subways and railways, airports and seaports. In the manufacturing area, there's the whole light industrial, food and beverage, pharmaceuticals, etc. But there's also a lot going on in the automotive area, as well as, the batteries, warehousing and logistics to support all these different facilities, as well as we know, especially here in the US, there's a lot going into these new, very large semiconductor fab facilities. Thinking more about energy, this is where, we typically think harsh industrial, oil and gas and mining, which is very much part of this scenario. But there's also a lot going into renewable energy and power grid and substations, wind and solar farms. And then last but not least, we know there's a ton of money going in, especially here in the US, into water with the whole industry, the IIJA Act. There's a lot of money going to renew our drinking water supply as well as wastewater treatment plants. So there's a lot of different type of facilities that we could be thinking of as we think about these fiber solutions that I'm going to go through. So Corning has a wide range of fiber optic solutions that can go into Industry 4.0, from our outside plant and campus type of solutions. And I will go into a little bit more detail into each of these, but we have closures, we have hardware designed for outside environments, as well as we have outside, as well as indoor-outdoor cable, as well as some specialty cables. Then if you think about inside now, the factory floor or inside the plant, we have, our indoor cables, hardware, connectors, etc. And then last but not least, I'll talk about some of our long reach solutions for those long distances where, we're really challenged with connectivity. So let's start with fiber optic cables. So depending on where you're going to install these cables, you have many different types of deployments and the versatility of the type of cables that you would use. So you would see a lot of cables being put into ducts, and these could be these type of 4-inch ducts or even micro ducts, and these offer a fast and scalable deployment. There's aerial, which is fast, cost effective, and of course, eliminates the need for digging. Then there's direct buried, where you actually directly bury the cables into the earth, as you see here. And this is, a very easy way to deploy, especially if you don't have a duct or a pole. And then last but not least, the indoor environment, which you see a lot of cable trays and different type of racks where we need specialty fire rated cables. So these special fire rated cables, just a little bit about what these are. So fire rating in the US, we have a different type of what we call the National Electric Cold Flame Rating. So there's riser, which is commonly known as OFNR. And this is to prevent the fire from spreading between the floors. And so there's a vertical type of flame test that's normally done from say floor to floor. And then there's plenum, which is commonly known as OFNP, which is really designed to ensure that the fire rating inside of an air handling space. So this is really about flame and smoke tests in the horizontal. In the industrial area, there's also a lot more what we call low smoke, zero halogen. And these are where the jackets actually have a limited smoke and no halogen, hence zero halogen. And this is really important in tunnels and mines and in industrial spaces where we have corrosive and toxic gases that might be a problem. This is the standard within Europe, actually, for all buildings. But in North America, we're seeing this within refineries and subways, etc. So Corning's indoor, this is where the fire rating is very important. This is our indoor cable portfolio. So probably very familiar to most people is what we call our MIC, tight buffered cable. This comes in fiber counts all the way from 6 to 144 fibers, as well as it's available in interlocking armor, riser and plenum versions. And what this tight buffered is, it's a 900 micron coating over the fiber that causes you to have this sort of tight buffered fiber within the cable. We also have our MIC, which we call loose tube, which does not have that 900 micron fiber. It's really just more the 250 coating on the fiber. That's really ideally suited for when you're doing fusion splicing, because you wouldn't have to strip the 900 micron buffer. It makes it simpler to do the splicing. And then last but not least, we have our indoor ribbon cable, which goes all the way up to 3456, so very high fiber counts. And, you know, this is where we see, again, it's using 250 micron fiber in a ribbon format, and it's available also with the interlocking armor. For the indoor-outdoor cable, so the advantages of these cables is that they could be used indoor and outdoor. So eliminating the need to have a transition point, which is generally if you're going from an indoor environment to an outdoor environment and you are using indoor cable or outdoor cable, you need to have a transition point within 50 feet of the building. But when you use indoor-outdoor cables, that is eliminated because the cable itself is rated for both indoor and outdoor applications. So the Corning Freedom cables, you'll see here we have the Freedom 1, which is the same tight buffered 900 micron type fiber, again rated for indoor-outdoor. We have the Freedom Loose Tube version, which is, again, not with the tight buffered, but with the 250 micron coating. That actually is available up to 288 fibers. And then we have some industrial fibers I'll go through in the next slide that are kind of specialty for this environment of industrial. We also have the Freedom Ribbon. So that actually goes all the way up to 6,912 fibers. So very, very high fiber counts if you're looking for, you know, an indoor-outdoor ribbon type cable. So again, I talked about this industrial cable. These are the low smoke, zero halogen options. So we have low smoke, zero halogen, single jacket, non-armored, interlocking armored, corrugated, which is like a steel armored. And then we also have this double jacket fiberglass armored rodent resistant cable. So really, a lot of people talk about rodents being a big problem. So if you are going with if you're looking for rodent resistance, you need to go into a sort of a double jacket fiberglass armored cable. We also have a range of cables that are both riser and low smoke, zero halogen. So these can go into buildings here in North America as well. And we have a full range there. Now, there's another topic that I would like to introduce here, which is what they call a tray grade fiber optic cables. And in North America, US and Canada, this is a specification. It was generally applied, it was designed for copper cables because there's a lot of issues with electromagnetic interference with the copper cables. But with the fiber cables, we were able to take some of the specs that are relevant in these UL standards for mechanical and temperature and crush, etc., and apply them to what we call our industrial tray grade fiber optic cables. So these cables have actually much more, 70% higher tensile load capability, much higher impact resistance and crush resistance. So with that, I'll introduce to you our mining and petrochemical tray grade fiber optic cable. So this is our most toughest cable that we make. It has that tray, it passes those tray grade type of tests that I talked about. It's also rated to very low temperatures. And we also are listed in the Mining and Safety Health Administration in this particular listing here. So these cables can be used inside of mines. They also have, with the jacketing, they have increased chemical resistance. So you'd see here several, industrial type of hydraulic fluids and lubricating oils, etc. So we have done a lot of testing and passed some very extreme conditions with our mining and petrochemical fiber optic cables. And then last but not least, I'll talk to you about our newest cable, which is our micro technology. So more and more, these microducts are being used inside of buildings, indoor and outdoor. So we launched our, what we call Plenum Mini Extend Jettable micro cables. So these are designed for indoor, outdoor use if they work inside of the 6mm ID microducts. Duraline is a particular supplier that makes these ducts. It's called Future Path, and it's being used more and more in factories today. So we have available today our micro cables in 12 and 24 fiber, but soon within the next couple of months, we'll be launching higher sizes from 48 and 72 fibers. So with the microducts, you need to have the duct, you need to have the cable from Corning, and then some jetting equipment. And altogether, with Duraline as one of our suppliers that we're working with, we can provide all the technical planning support as well as in-field technical support that you may need or your customers may need to design this type of solution. So let's turn now to our outside plant cable. So the decision of which outside plant cable to use depends on, again, where they're going to be used in terms of the network. Our most typical solution is what we call our loose tube cables. These are the 250 micron fibers, and these can come in both armored and non-armored versions. We have our micro cables, which are designed to be used within microducts. These have even more, they're smaller, and they can, accommodate many more fibers in a smaller diameter because they're being used within these ducts. We have the aerial cables, so you may hear things like ADSS cables or figure 8 cables, and these are designed for aerial stranding. And then we have, of course, our ribbon cables, which go to very, very high fiber counts for outdoor use. So our most popular outside plant cable is called the Altos cable, loose tube design. We can have this in single, double, or even triple jacket areas. So again, depending on your environment in these ruggedized sort of environments, you may want to go all the way to a triple jacket cable if you have a very sandy or rocky area. And then in this type of cable, we have this special technology called fast access. So what we have here is an innovative jacket design that enables you to peel apart the outside jacket in a very easy, fast manner so that no tools are required, and you can then get to stripping your jacket without really having any issues with cutting the fiber. Our second very popular outside plant cable is what we call our mini extend micro cables. These are much smaller, as you can see here, a 144 fiber Altos compared to a 144 fiber mini extend. You're getting almost 50% reduction in diameter, right? So much smaller cables. And the reason we can do that is because these cables are designed to be used only within ducts. So the duct itself is providing a lot of the mechanical support that you need for the cable. So we could reduce some of the jacketing components and make these cables denser. So the advantage of using microducts is that it really allows you to, scale. So you could see here, if you deployed a microduct with, say, 7 ducts within one microduct outer binder, you don't need to necessarily fill all of them at the beginning. You can actually fill as you grow. So that allows you to add cables very easily into your network, or even move or add changes to your cables without having to dig and rip out everything. So a lot more use of microducts in the networks today. And again, micro cables can really help you reduce the size by up to 50% and the weight by up to 70%. We have a full portfolio of mini extend. So it starts, from our typical mini extend. It went from 12 to 144 fibers. And then we introduce our high density cables, which are even smaller. And then our newest XD cables, which use the 200 micron fibers, which is even smaller again. When you're using micro cables, you need to take very careful consideration to the fill ratio within the duct. So we have here some optimal fill ratios in terms of, what size cable you can use within the typical ducts that you see on the market today. And of course, we have our ribbon portfolio, which is our outside plant ribbon. This has been an area that we've really spent a lot of time innovating around as well. So we have our rocket ribbon, which is a flat type of ribbon made from 250 micron fibers. Really makes splicing in the field very easy because you no longer have to sort of splice using routing kits, etc. You can pretty much direct splice these rocket ribbons, and they are very small. So we have our newest rocket ribbon, 250 micron. From 12 all the way up to rocket ribbon can go very high density from 3456 fibers even. So again, we're launching more and more sizes of the rocket ribbon, especially in the lower sizes, to really take advantage of the ease of splicing and the size of these cables. We have our PX ribbon cable, which is our flat cable. And then our most traditional one is what we call the SST ribbon and the SST Ultra ribbon, which is what you see a lot in your networks today. And then our newest version of ribbon is what we call our Mini Extend ribbon cable Flow 200, which is a rollable type ribbon. Anytime you see Mini Extend in our portfolio, it means it must be used within a duct. It can be, blown or pulled or what, etc. But this Mini Extend ribbon cable is a rollable ribbon that allows you to really reduce the diameter and, optimize within these microducts. So right now, I think we have 288 and 864 fibers available, but we are also filling out this portfolio throughout the rest of this year. And just one last topic on cables before we move on is within the industrial side area, there's also this use of fiber for sensing. It's called distributed fiber optic sensing. And this is where the fiber itself is used as a sensor, a sensing cable through, for very many different applications, be it temperature, acoustic, vibrations, etc. So it can be used in security. It could be used to monitor, leaks in oil and gas type of pipelines, etc. So I'm not going to go into a lot of detail on the fiber optic sensing technology, which we could probably do, if you need any extra information, we can provide you. But I just wanted to let you know that Corning has a full range of distributed fiber optic sensing cables. The main thing with these sensing cables is they are gel filled. That really improves the ability for them to sense, in the network. But we have loose tube sensing that are armored or non-armored. We have specialty sensing for microduct type of applications. And then we also have our very specialized distributed cable, sensing cable, which goes up to 12 fibers. And this is really optimized for some of these type of applications where you're using sensing for security, etc. So if you encounter any customer asking about fiber for distributed sensing, please bring it to us and we can help you to decide which fiber is the right fiber. And we also have partnerships with all of the vendors out there. We know them all who provide the sensing equipment. So next I'm going to move to fiber optic connectivity now. Obviously you have your cables. It's important to know how do you connect them. Corning has different type of field termination methods. The traditional ones that were out there and probably still used a lot in industrial is the epoxy and polish. So I'm not going to go into more detail here, but we still offer the old hot melt connectors that came from the 3M portfolio, as well as the Corning anaerobic connectors still available. In the mechanical side, this is where you don't have to polish in the field, but you can use a special tool to do a mechanical type of connection. We have the Unicam, which is probably the most popular connector on the market. And then from the 3M acquisition, we also got what we call the no polish connectors, and we have the NPC Plus now as well. And then more and more, we're seeing fusion splicing as the fusion splicing equipment has reduced in price and become much more simple. We have some specialty connectors, our FuseLite and FuseLite 2 type of connectors that utilize a fusion splicing machine to make the connector in the field. So again, as I said, Unicam is our, most widely and popular connector that we deploy. It's available. It's for single fiber only, either single mode or multi-mode, available in ST, SC, LC, you name it, angle polish or flat polish. And it can be used on all cable types. Most popular, probably, these are used on tight buffered cables, but can also be used on loose tube if needed. The splice-on connectors, which is a FuseLite and FuseLite 2. This one requires a fusion splicing machine, so a little bit more skilled labor is needed. As I said, the splicing machines have really come down in price. We also offer a fusion splicer if needed. Here's the part number. And again, available in all different configurations. For the advantage here is you can get a single fiber FuseLite, or you could even get our multi-fiber MPO type of FuseLite connector as well. And then this is the NPC Plus, which is another one. As I said, we got it when we acquired 3M. This one is almost toolless. All it really needs is some simple snips, etc. You still need to cleave the fiber, but once you've cleaved it, you use a very simple process to apply the no polish connector in the field. So that's the connector portfolio. But more and more, as I said, fusion splicing is becoming the preferred means of terminating cables in the field today. So our CCH pigtail splice cassette is, we've sold, over 100,000 of these last year. It really is the workhorse of our portfolio. Our fusion splice cassette comes as one part number. You get everything you need to do the fusion splice, to splice the pigtail. In the field, you'll get it with all the different cable ties, strain relief. You see here it's a one-part design, and it has a clear cover so you could see what's going on in the field with your fusion splice. And available again in single mode or multi-mode, 6 to 24 fiber panels, and soon we'll be coming out with a 36 fiber version for our duplex LC type of connector. This is stocked very in stock. It has very short lead times, and it really is the workhorse of our portfolio. So I'm going to talk a little bit more now into where does, how do you manage all these fiber connectors, and what is our hardware enclosure offerings? So as I said, this pigtail splice cassette is sort of integral to all of our hardware. We have many different forms of hardware out there, but they all have been optimized to use this pigtail splice cassette. So we have our rack-mounted solutions called the CCH. We have 1, 2, 3, and 4 U-height versions of this, and again, very, very popular standard. We have wall-mounted solutions like our wall-mounted closure, and I'll go through some industrial versions of that. And then we also have some small housings that I'll talk a little bit more about. But again, everything here has been optimized to have that pigtail splice cassette fit within the hardware. So the CCH is probably our most versatile, most modular, most flexible solution in the field today. You have different type of panels that you can get for patching. You could do field termination in there. You can use splicing. It can even come pre-stubbed if needed. And as I said, we are coming out with the 36 fiber version of this pigtail spice cassette very soon. So this will give us probably the highest density solution in the market today. And it's very, again, you can get it pigtailed at the modular version, or you could get the pigtailed housings as well if needed. So thinking now about these harsh environmental enclosures within let's think about ports, oil and gas, manufacturing, transportation, where you have environmental issues. We have a full range of products that really are optimized for these different scenarios. We have the environmental distribution closure, which is our most ruggedized. We have our industrial closure housing, as well as some smaller options. I'll go through some of these in the next slides. So probably, other than our pigtail spice cassette, our other highest volume housing that we sell is actually this very versatile single panel housing. It's small. It can be stacked one on each other. It can be mounted with DIN rails. It can be mounted on the side of, within boxes that are NEMA rated. So it's really very versatile. You can apply different types of panels to it. So you can do, LCs, SCs, etc. It even comes with a pigtailed version. So you can get a pigtailed SPH that eliminates, comes similar to the pigtail spice cassette, where everything comes in one part number for you. And we can even use these pigtail pipes, these SPHs, to do both fiber and power, where we're using these hybrid cables. The next product is our industrial connector housing, or ICH. This is a padlockable outer door. It's rated to NEMA 3S, so IP64 rated for wind-driven rain, etc. It has really keyhole mounting holes for fast installation, and it does again come with the ability to just quickly install the pigtail splice cassettes when needed. This is our environmental distribution closure. We have a stainless steel version, which is the most robust housing that Corning offers, with a padlockable outer door. This is IP66 NEMA 4X, so really dustproof, waterproof, rodent-proof, etc. Again, optimized with the pigtail spice cassettes. We also have a fiberglass version if your customer prefers, that type of fiberglass enclosure. It's available in stainless steel or fiberglass. And then in terms of closures, so this is these are mainly used outside plant, in those various type of applications, whether it's pole or if it's under the ground, it's mounted on the side of a building or in a pedestal. Corning probably has the widest range of closures available today. We have those that are offered for below grade, as well as for those that are for above the grade. And you'll see here, when we acquired 3M, we also got a whole range of closures from them, the 2178 and the Fiberdome. And we have the Corning legacy closures of the SCF and UCA series. And then for the above grade, we have the SCA, the SLIC, the BPEO, and the MPE. So, I mean, it's quite a lot. And if you have any customers that are needing a closure, I'm not going to go into more detail here, but we are available with our full application engineering support to help you choose the right closure for the right application using the right cable. So next I'm going to go into some of our more innovative solutions that we're trying to position for this industrial area. So more and more, as we hear that one of the biggest issues in the market today is the lack of skilled labor and, the speed at which a lot of these large facilities need to be built. So we are looking right now to really position a plug-and-play hardened fiber connectivity solution for these industrial environments. This will help us. It will be pre-terminated in the factory and, sort of engineered for the application. But once it arrives on site, it's basically just plug and play. This really helps you to speed up your deployment by up to 75%. It avoids the need for all the skilled labor. You could pretty much just plug and play. So again, very fast deployment, very easy deployment, helping you to avoid the risk because again, it's all factory terminated and tested. And when you look at the total equation of cost of ownership between the labor and the materials, this really can be a very cost-effective solution with the reduction in the labor and the speeding up of deployment. So a little bit more of a, to sell this solution, you kind of have to prove the total cost of ownership reduction, but we can help you again with those type of scenarios. So this is our newest solution on the market today. It's called the Push Lock Multi-Fiber Connectors. This is actually soon to be launched, so you're getting a little bit of a preview of it. But this is a simple plug and play. It's a push lock connector. So when you remove the dust cap, you literally click it into place. You would hear an audible click, and so you push, click, and that's it. You're connected. These connectors are available in up to 12 fibers today, and we will also be able to produce up to 24 fibers by later in the year. These are IP68 rated, so they're really ruggedized. They're waterproof. They are very compact and durable. So again, very easy connections in the field. They come with a specialized terminal that's also IP68 rated. So you can get single fiber or multi-fiber versions of this terminal. And this can be almost in replacing a sort of a closure for a consolidation point in your network. So again, think about these ruggedized environments where fiber needs to be deployed. Maybe it needs to be moved and changed often. And this is really a great solution to sort of do that ruggedized plug and play type of environment. Now, you may have heard of an Optic tip connector in the past. This is still available. So I wanted to bring it to play because this is still available today. It's the older version of the push lock. It has this similar rating, so it does meet all the Telcordia very low temperatures, IP68, etc. So this multi-fiber and Optic tip connector is still available today. It's a little bit different because it actually doesn't just click into place. You have to turn it into place, but this is still available. It will be phased out to sort of be replaced by the push lock, but in this transitionary time, we're still having to offer the Optic tip connector in some different scenarios. So I just wanted to bring it back into play here. With these connectors, either the push lock or the Optic tip, we have different sort of multi-fiber trunk cable assemblies available in 2 up to 12 fiber configurations. So you can get them terminated on one end or on both ends. So think of, you have like a ruggedized patch cord with 1 or 2 ends terminated. They are available in increments of up to 25 feet. And if depending on your application, we can go several thousand, feet in terms of how long you need it. So think about we're doing these in tunnels for subways, in industrial plants, etc. We have a flat drop cable as well as a round one that's coming out. The round one will be only for outside plant environments and only work with the push lock connector. But the flat one is available in both indoor as well as indoor-outdoor type of low smoke, zero halogen type of configurations. and will work with either the OptiTip or the push lock. So these are engineered solutions. Again, I wanted to bring them to your attention. And if you have any interest from a customer, we're here to help you to design and use our application engineering support to do that. So at the other end, what do you terminate these in? So these, we have taken some of those hardware solutions we talked to you about earlier and optimize them for plugging the push lock or the OptiTip into these type of connectors at the edge. So, this kind of helps you with the plug and play environment. Again, everything is factory terminated, plug and play. In the interim, while we're sort of launching the push lock connectors, we're having to do some OptiTip to push lock converter extenders for these type of hardware. But finally, by the end of the year, I would say we would transition most of the OptiTip solutions over to push lock. But if you have an opportunity that's available today, we can supply it. And then if you need a pre-terminated fiber trunk that you don't need that ruggedized sort of connector on the end, you're just going to use traditional sort of LC or MTP type of connectors. We also have a solution which we're calling the Edge Rapid Connect. This is a pre-terminated, again, not ruggedized, but we've put we have a way of putting the a pulling grip that becomes ruggedized and very small diameter with very high optical performance into a pre-terminated cable assembly. So this is available. It's available actually into very, very high fiber counts, but for most of these applications we're looking at in the industrial space, 144 and 288 fibers is probably, ideal. So again, this Edge Rapid Connect pre-terminated trunk cable is something that we're also kind of coming out with here in the next few months. And I just wanted to highlight that this is also available in a pre-terminated version. So now I'm going to kind of switch to the last topic before we get to Q&A, which is the fiber to the edge for these long reach type of applications. So as more and more AI is, being used in factories and in transportation and even in retail or anywhere, more and more cameras are being put into locations, not just for security, but also, for monitoring activity, whether it's on a plant or in an industrial environment or, inspections, etc. So just this whole drive towards AI, which we hear about every day, is just driving the use of more and more cameras and other type of IoT sensors in the network today. And a lot of times, as you could see in these pictures, that camera is not in a location where you have an ideal connector. It's typically far up in, high locations, long distances, etc. So connecting these devices has become a challenge in the network, and a lot so in industrial environments. And so what we have is a solution to help you connect these type of devices in a much longer type of reach scenario. So we call this fiber to the edge, and it's really ideally suited for long reach type of applications. There are three main components of this in the long reach. One is to have, a cable that will allow you to go long reach and provide not just bandwidth, but also power. So here we have what we call our hybrid or composite cables, which we term Actify. And I'll go through a little bit more about this, but they're available in what we call the NEC class 2 or 3. And actually, we're about to launch our Actify class 4 type of cables. This is all low voltage power. So, 56 volt DC type power. Corning also has what we call our Corning Intelligent Power remote power units that delivers this low voltage DC power to the edge device, as well as we have our own 10 gig HPOE fiber media converter. So first I'll talk about the Actify hybrid cables. So this really, with copper cables today that deliver PoE, the one big limitation to that is that you can only go 100 meters. After that, you need to have a switch because you really cannot utilize typical category cable beyond 100 meters. Using this Actify hybrid cables, we can go with the fiber, you could literally go several kilometers. But, when you combine the fiber and the power, we can reach distances of up to 600 meters. So 6 times further distances, and giving you a lot of versatility to get to those edge devices. This Actify hybrid cable is available in our indoor version, loose tube. So also with the indoor tight buffered, so the 900 micron I talked about earlier. The 900 micron tight buffered is available in a box configuration for convenience. And as you can see there, we can go from 1 to 6 fibers or up to 12 or 24 fibers if needed. And also the copper in it, which is stranded copper, is available in up to 12 copper wires, and the gauge of the wire that you use will determine the distance that you can go. So if you get a larger AWG, which larger AWG is actually the smaller number, so 12 AWG is probably the thickest copper conductor that we offer, that will give you the longest distance that you would need, that you can get. We also have an indoor-outdoor freedom version of this. So if you have an application that's outdoors, we have the solution for you as well. And this also comes with interlocking armor. All 3 versions come with interlocking armor if you need armored versions of this. So a wide portfolio and available in many different configurations. A lot of people call this powered fiber. Our brand is Actify. I also talked about our fiber media converter, and really and truly, it fits in the palm of your hand. It's very small, it's simple, and it's very, very competent. It delivers up to 10 gigabits of bandwidth. So probably the highest bandwidth available in the market today. We get up to 10 gigs. And the other thing it delivers is up to 90 watts of HPoE, so what they call PoE++. And several of these kind of cameras, etc., that are being deployed today, they are really challenging the PoE that can be delivered. So this little device here can deliver 90 watts of power to the edge device. It has a very wide temperature range, so from -40 to say +149 degrees F. So it can be used, in very low temperatures. And in this new version that we have coming out very soon, which we call V2, we have included some watchdog type features for auto reset and some link status detection, some more auto negotiation. So just making it a little bit smarter on the market today. So again, you could see here, it can be DIN rail mounted, so it could fit into, pretty small areas. If you needed to go outdoors, you can put this small device in a NEMA rated box. And then it becomes not just, temperature, but also waterproof if needed. And then last but not least, we have our scalable power solution. So this is the Corning Intelligent Power. It's a class 2 low voltage power. So it delivers 56 volt DC power. Each circuit delivers up to 100 watts. So we have 3 different versions of the CIP. One is a single port version, which we call the CIP 01. But we also have it sort of in a chassis mount version of a 16 or a 32 port version. So these are actually half a rack wide and 1 or 1.5 or 2 U high. So if you put 2 of these 32 port switches in your rack, it will take up 2 U space height and 1 rack wide, and it will literally give you 64 100-watt power supplies to your edge devices. So very dense power using this, low voltage. Any sort of low voltage contractor can install this power and not need to bring in a licensed electrician. The other thing with this Corning Intelligent Power is, as I said, each port delivers 100 watts of power. But if you need more than 100 watts, we actually have these aggregators. You can aggregate 2 ports on the power supply or you can aggregate up to 8 ports. We have 2 different aggregators available. And with that, you could actually deliver more than the 100 watts of power in keeping to this class 2 type of low voltage power supply. So it actually starts giving you the ability to deliver almost medium voltage type applications out of a low voltage type of a power supply using the aggregator. If you have some devices, sometimes we've heard of like a 24 volt type of DC device on the edge. We also have a step down converter that can deliver 24 volts instead of 56 volts if needed. And we also are coming out soon with this range extender that can deliver 36 to 56 volts depending, because we've heard of different applications where the power supply, is variable. So we have these accessories that come along with it. And then also coming soon this year, there's a port on the power supply that allows us to add some intelligence into it. So we are coming out with a software for remote management. And with this software, you would be able to look at the port state of the status of each port and have some alarms if needed, etc. So a lot of people are excited about the ability to remotely monitor the status of the power supplies at the edge, because again, some of these devices that we are powering up with this type of solution are, pretty long distances and far away. So having this sort of visibility to manage this power is also very, very good. So with that, I think we have some time for some questions, and just about 5 minutes actually. So I know I've seen a couple coming through, but I can't read them all. But Oksana, do you want to sort of hit me with a couple? If we don't get to all, we will address them, one-on-one with you after.
Absolutely. Yes, Gayla, we have plenty of questions that have come through. The first question is, can LSZH be used in place of plenum?
No. So low smoke zero halogen cannot be used to replace plenum in North America or Canada, because the low smoke and zero halogen that's kind of a European standard that is deployed there. It actually does not meet the plenum requirements of the UL in North America. So if you are going to be in a plenum space in North America, you need to use a plenum rated cable. And similarly with riser. We do offer a couple cables that are dual rated for low smoke zero halogen and riser. So that one can be used indoors in North America. Now, conversely, because I know that you guys also maybe supply some projects outside of North America, if you're in Europe, you cannot use plenum or riser. You have to use low smoke zero halogen in the building. So it's made our business a little bit more challenging because we have to have 2 different portfolios, but those are the requirements depending on the country you're in.
Great, thank you, Gayla. The next question is, how far can the mini extend cable be blown?
So if you're talking about the one that I talked about for the plenum mini extend indoor outdoor cables, the ones that fit in the 6mm ID duct, we have proven that we can go up to 3,000 feet in the 6mm ID duct using this jetting equipment. Some of it, it's a little bit of an art versus a science, I would say, but you kind of combine some air as well as some mechanical sort of feeding of the cable as well. But we've been able to deploy it successfully up to 3,000 feet.
Thank you, Gayla. The next question is anything rated for below grade and is safe for use above grade as well?
Yes. A lot of our cables, if they're rated for below grade, typically you can use them above grade. The only thing I would say is that if you're going to aerially strand a cable, you have to use our aerial, a cable approved for aerial stranding, because there's different forces in the aerial that you need to withstand, So not all cables that are rated for below grade can maybe be stranded aerially. But typically, if they're, you could put them above grade as well. They're UV resistant, etc. Once they're rated for outdoor use, So you could kind of deploy them on the side of a building or, along the edge of a building. The only thing I would say is the cables called mini extend. Those have been designed specifically to be used in a duct. So if they are not in a duct, they do not have the same, they do not meet the same sort of external force requirements you need for direct buried or, stranding on a side of a building or something like that.
Thanks, Gayla. And we might have room for one more question. For the power aggregator, will remote management be capable of turning power on and off?
I'll have to get back on that question, actually. I am not 100% sure. I believe maybe yes, but let me validate that and get back to the person who asked that question.
All right, perfect. And we've come up on just about on time, so we'll go ahead and conclude for today. We want to thank everyone for sticking with us. You all stuck with us until the very end, so a lot of great information. Thank you to our presenter, Gayla, today for all of this great information, and of course, for this co-sponsorship with Express Connect Supply. We hope that you have a wonderful rest of your day. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Goodbye.